Hello, Melinda.
Hi, Lisa.
Who is here? I can see you finally. This is
Hi.
my friend Melinda, a yogi. She's doing my kriyas for how long?
Has it been up to almost, is it coming to 3 years? 2 years?
2 years, maybe. Yes, I was in St.
Maybe.
Petersburg, and it was about 1 year ago. I shared with you my Las Vegas experience, my Samadhi experience.
Yeah.
So it seems that one and a half for sure. Yeah, I want to introduce Melinda. First, I will say a little bit about this beautiful goddess, African queen. I love her so much. She is a mother, she is a healer. She will introduce herself. But the main thing that I convinced again is when your energy meets your energy in other person, and this is for sure. No matter where you live in, how far, and what nationality, it doesn't matter. If you have the same vibrations, they will attract each other. So,
Yeah.
Melinda, nice to meet you here. We were trying to record this meeting so long ago, and
Yeah.
finally we succeed. So, my first question will be to introduce yourself and to share a little bit about your spiritual path. Um,
Right.
how you can call it path, I don't know. If it become an adult, maybe,
Yeah.
or spiritual awakening. So, please share with guys your experience, your beautiful journey.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do refer to it as a spiritual journey, but it's really just a life path, that starts in so many different ways. And at different points of my life, um, I've had, I haven't held certain parts of myself. So I feel like I've got to this place in the journey where I'm holding my mind, body, and soul in a way that I've never held it before. And I suppose that it has been the spiritual journey in a way. Um, Being an African woman, what that means to me, being a mother, what that means to me, um, living in the world, working, making money, making, all the things. And I think that's why I sometimes don't like to call it just the spiritual journey because everything comes together. Um, but yeah, I think I'm just going to link back to when I came across your practice. Um, it was just I had heard of Kundalini. I had done maybe one or two, but when it comes to, like you said, energy and resonance, just a random search, and I found your video, and I thought, you know what, let me try it, and I had an experience that was so unique and so it resonated with me so well. And it was, I think, a combination of the practice, a combination of how you teach. And I think that's been part of my journey thus far. I don't belong to anything except my knowing. And nothing is off limits if I trust it is true. So I feel like there's so much you read about different things, and you know that's not how I take knowledge. I just use my knowing of, like, does this feel that it can support me? Does this feel light? Does this feel, and that's how Kundalini was. So it definitely shifted this journey for me, because it gave me a sort of um, access to my own power that I hadn't experienced before. And um, actually, I reached out to you quite soon after I tried your classes because I wanted to share the experience. And I think that's another thing that sometimes we forget, is that when we create, we also want to know how our creations are doing in the world and how people feel about them. And so, yeah, that was how we started speaking. And you beautifully guided me along my fears, my doubts about the process. Um, yeah.
I remember this letter on my mail. Then some beautiful lady wrote me like, "Is it okay that in the evening during the dinner I experienced some kind of high state, which is not during Kundalini practices, but in my daily life. Like, wow, what was it? And
Yeah.
then I explained that this is Satori, like the first recognition of matrix, of like you are being sucked inside the moment here and now.
Yeah.
When your mind is off, your dialogue of thoughts, this racing of thoughts stops, and you suddenly see life how it is, how reality as it is. And yeah, this is called Satori. In Hinduism, in Advaita Vedanta, they call it Satori. Like, oh, who am I? Where am I? And like flash of light. Yes?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was a really intense experience because I have a very unique relationship with breath, which I think a lot of people do, in that a lot of people don't realize that they're not breathing well. They're not breathing to their full capacity. And so that was one thing Kundalini really activated for me, was actually using my breath work. And even just that would get me into states of euphoria. And I questioned it, and I researched it, and I think that's why community is so key when you're in new spaces. And it doesn't have to be a church or an organized group. It just is the resonance of people that kind of are going through what you're going through. And I was going through, myself and one of my best friends were practicing together. We were sharing experiences. And, when we saw that our fears were matching, we started looking at them a little bit differently. And I would be like, oh, I've just spoken to Lisa. And, Lisa kind of said that it's normal, it's normal to just be in the middle of a restaurant and suddenly feel immense bliss. And you haven't consumed alcohol, drugs, nothing, and it's not a high to chase, but it is a pleasure to be in and realize that you are in your own power. This is actually how you are. This is your right, your birthright, to have a very pure and glorified existence. And there's so much terminology, and there's all these 7D and 2D and the terms, and I respect the teachings, but what I prefer is the feeling of how good it feels. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I love people like you who really take the time to research all those elements, because then it helps. It helps people like me who are more feelings based accept it as a whole thing, because we are experiencing the physical and we understand the spiritual, and also we understand the scientific, which sometimes I've been like, how do you know that? Like, okay. And you're like, now I'm researching sleep deprivation, or now I'm researching fasting. And, and it's been great to just sort of get that perspective and then see if it aligns with me and choose, which, we all have that,
Yeah, thank you. I would like to ask, what was after this first recognitions, first flashes, how this about Las Vegas? Our terminology, our word we created for this high state. First, I want to say a little bit what happened on 22nd of September last year. I was so high without thoughts. I considered myself the whole space. My body was living inside me. So I was the whole picture, which was moving with my body. And Lisa was out somewhere, but still I was very adequate. Somehow I went to film some video for my channel, and I realized everything. I could answer any question. I was adequate, but at the same time, there wasn't anyone inside. It's very hard to explain. And this was the first high degree. Of course, now I have so deep experiences that they are normal for me now. But this was my first Samadhi, which lasted 40 hours, and I couldn't get sleep.
Yeah.
And I remember that I was going out of underground, and I wrote Melinda, goodbye. I'm losing my mind. Like, I don't know what happens, but I'm so freaking high that maybe I might come back. So farewell, live happily, and so on. And it wasn't like joke. Something was right in these words, but at the same time, there was no assessments or not. This action wasn't in observation as usually, without control, without comments of the mind, which usually comments on each action, on each word we speak. Like speaking and writing was happening without me, without personality, like the pure beingness was who I was. And I shared this experience. And then I told Melinda that this happened after 7 days in a row of Las Vegas. 3 or 4 Vegas nerve, which is very difficult. Contains lifting your legs for 9.5 minutes, and it regulates nervous system, switches the mode from parasympathetic to sympathetic. And I guess that this is how one of the ways why we got into these states. I think they are basic states of each person. To be enlightened, for me, it's a basic state, not to overthink and so on. And after this, I said, Melinda, I found the key. Las Vegas. You called it Las Vegas, Korea, like Las Vegas. And we start joking and calling this state of Samadhi experience like Las Vegas. Welcome to Las Vegas.
From the movie, right? From Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. He's Johnny Depp, right?
Yeah. And you also have these deep experiences.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the thing about the way that I have been practicing is that I'm very much present in 3D. You know, I work, I do everyday life things. I want to go dancing. I want to pray. I want to meditate. I want to party. You know, I like balance in my life. So, you know, I didn't go to an ashram. I'm here in my home with my children and my life. And it was really, I was very aware, because I know people who have gone into those states and stayed there for a while and detached from, you know, what is reality as it is. And it was a fear for me because I have obligations, and we all do. You know, we all have children, no children. Everyone has things that they have as sort of standard markers in their life that they don't want to shift. And I realized that instead of being afraid of that, I actually had to accept detachment in my life, not from not from sense, but just from things, and just hold myself with a belief that everything that I have is as it should be. Everything I'm going to have is as it should be. Everything I have lost or removed myself from is as it should be. And that comes with a lot of pain. And I think most people at some point in their journey to ascension face detachment, because a lot of people are not ready for their own personal transformation, or don't seek it. And your personal transformation can trigger hurt and open up wounds for other people. I have had states of delirium, you know, but I don't chase them. I have had states of euphoria, but I don't chase it. And when it comes, I'm completely and divinely protected for that moment. And it's as I'm supposed to be. So I never look at it like, oh my God, like I've blissed out, I'm somewhere else. I know I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. But in the beginning, because we're not used to that, because we have a lot of artificial happiness as humans right now, it does shock you. And I think some people can do this with Kundalini. I think some people can do this with Ashtanga. I think some people can do this with martial arts. You know, it's where you find the tool that is going to work with, that's going to allow you to take the discipline, because it's all discipline. And like you said, with that practice, it's hard as heck. It's really hard, you know? And so even just that, pushing your body past comfort zone, is such an opportunity for expansion. So, you know, it's step by step. I know for me, I very quickly wanted to master how to be true and safe and comfortable in all different states. So if I hadn't, there would be, I think there was like a month I practiced and I didn't really get in any of those states. And it was important for me to trust that I'm doing the right practices, that everything is working out as it should. And then there's times where I could, go into another dimension just in in the, mantra before, small things. So and then other times, I've found myself awake and, I wake myself up and I'm in Shavasana and I hadn't gone, it's like 30 minutes have passed, and that's beautiful. We all deserve that. We all deserve that type of peace. And it's really great to look at our external environment and make that peace. And I work really hard on that in my life, but you have to do that. It's better to try and do it within, because then everything can happen and you're just still you. And I actually remember during that time, that was when, everything was going on in Russia. And I couldn't believe your composure at such a difficult time. And it was such a testament to me of the sovereignty, the peace, and the power that this ancient practice can give you. Because, and I'm, it was almost hard to notice that what was going on, and, that's grace to me. And I love finding opportunities to be the most graceful that I can. So if it's yoga, if it's diet, if it's, detachment, like that's, and I believe that, I don't know, this practice gives you a lot of grace.
Yeah, I want to agree with you in each word you tell, because I guess we're going the same level.
Yeah.
If it should be like characterized somehow, because first of all, I was chasing these high states, of course, because it's like natural drug and you want more and more, and you are waiting when, and like the grip of control, this desire to experience it again, leads you a little bit back in your mind.
Yeah.
And then I also understood that I will never probably shift totally in 5D, because it's not, it cannot live together with the material embodiment, as I understood, because I was nearly levitating recently. So my legs, my ankles and heels were so vibrating that I was literally taken off. Probably I was, but my mind came back and said, wow, what is going on?
Yeah.
Your rocket, and so on. And when my mind, like rational part of me said, okay, and what's next? I want to leave. I have some gestalts not closed yet in material world. For example, gaining money, expressing my talents, developing my abilities, and so on. And now I'm more on psychoanalytics. And what is very interesting for me, that what I'm studying from Jung and Freud and all these major psychoanalytics of history, they were talking about the same as the spiritual path, but in other language. They were telling about that you need to grow adult inside yourself to see how your child behaves, your parent inside, and to take off your masks, which are helping you to survive in society, but they betray your subconsciousness and your main idea of who you are. This is the same. I was so shocked that this is so easy. All we have to do is only to keep our awareness and to allow the reality to be on the background of this state. Like, I'm the witness of everything that happens to me, and no matter what happens, even hurricane, war, I don't care. Like, I still calm. And if not practices of meditations, self-analytics, like this kind of discipline, not for nothing they call it more in sadhana, this discipline trains our brain to refocus from the associating yourself with mask, with a child, with a victim state or something, and you can be detached from this. And this is the main idea. States are different, but the background is the same. Now I can say that I found this harmony, and all I want to do is only to be even more harmonious, to get rid of some things which damage my body, for example,
Yeah.
not to eat so much and so on, to postpone my aging, to be very careful with my cortisol level, not to allow environment to trigger me, so I will react and then I will destroy my body through these automatic reactions which are happening out of trauma,
Yeah.
not of adequate assessment what is going on. Like this witness, this adult personality, which appears above existing, not like
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
non-conscious. Then I guess this is the way out, and this is normal. It should be normal for everyone, I guess. But it's so hard to have like one teaching which explains correctly and very easily to
Yeah.
everyone, like points your attention to this, and everyone goes to ashrams, like meditations,
Yeah.
and searching for God all the time. They don't know if I'm God or am a human, and this like
Yeah.
shifting from 3D to 5D, 3D to
Yeah.
5D. I was in this state the
Yeah.
last 6 months. It was so unpleasant, like little
Um,
bit swings, you know. And now maybe it's not ultimate peace inside me, but yeah,
yeah.
I'm closer to understanding what is going on and not expecting anymore to be
Yeah.
some kind of. How do you feel about this? What I'm telling you?
Yeah, for sure. And I also think that the human experience in the spiritual path is very important. Like, we still, it's not wusa, like life is perfect. It's depth, and depth has all the emotions. It has pain, it has, dissatisfaction, it has anger, it has this. But what I find, like when you were talking about observing the states, it becomes very challenging to observe states when you don't actually know your body and you don't know your mind. So I find that, practices and disciplines, and again, this can even come from music. It can come from, whatever way language speaks to one's body, that teach you to know what does my arm feel like when it's in its optimum shape? What does my back hurt? What's my posture like? What am I truly eating here? And you start having this self inquiry when when you use discipline, because the thing is anything that you put hard work to, no one wants to chuck their money in the trash, flush their money down the toilet because you've worked for it. So this is the same with spiritual discipline. When you wake up and do morning sadhana, when you do that hour-long practice that you're not going to walk the next day, and it surprises you, and you realize you're starting to, and obviously it's a very yogic perspective, but this life and rebirth and death concept is so important to me, because we have infinite opportunities to try again. And that I love with my body,
I don't
Yeah,
want to try again and again.
I
I think
know.
I was embodied for thousands of times.
And I
Just
can try again tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Like I can look at something and say, you know what, I want to move here. And it's really a decision, and then everything falls in line with that decision. You know what I mean? Like, I remember, very soon after we connected, I ended up buying your course, the Depression to Prosperity. And um, that discipline of getting a course, accepting it, signing up for it, knowing, and those are the type of things that help people, whichever it is. If it's you're going to jujitsu class or whatever, go, like, show up and understand your body. And once you understand your body, you start to understand your mind. And I know there's this concept that people like the heart is bad, the heart is good, and the mind is bad. I think that's only the truth when they're not healthily observed and we don't actually understand their function, because they function together, So I feel like that path to the balance that you were talking about is really important. And I think Rest is also important from any practice. Sometimes you just need a day off or 2 days off. I struggle with that, and I work hard to tell myself to rest, because
The same.
there's something that happens when even if things are not going according to your plan, there's something that you really start to love about life when you're living in a sort of truth that makes you very excited, and every day is another opportunity. So sometimes I'm like, oh God, I have to practice today. Like my day is not, and it doesn't always work out. And then there's sometimes physically my body needs repair, and needs recovery. So I'm learning that path, learning that discipline, because it's also discipline. So I feel like, like you said, like attracts like. Also sometimes like, oh, I have no arm in my video. Also, it's me. But like attracts like, but also, uh, like can inspire. You can just get so inspired, even if somebody is not where you are, if you are just open enough to seeing the radiance. And that's for me. I don't sell anything that I do to anybody, but if you want to know my secret to my happiness, to my peace, to my accomplishments, to my growth, I'm here to tell you. And Kundalini will always be on that list for me. And I didn't start yoga with Kundalini, so I also had that to add on. But it was a new experience, and it kind of always is new. I don't meet the same practice in the same way ever. And I haven't really ever done a 40 days. I have made it to like 12 days with one practice. But I will, and that will be new. It will be a new experience. I'll find it, it will find me when the time is right. And, but yeah, harmony is actually easier when you're not searching and chasing, and peace is not, is so promised when you're not desperate. And when you just behave, do things that help you get your personal peace, it's kind of, yeah. I think not to minimize the tools, but I really at all points want to maximize people's comprehension of the understanding of their own power, because that is beyond everything. Like we are really, truly so powerful. We can heal ourselves. We can, like we've been talking a lot about, I've had numerous physical changes since I started Kundalini, all positive, all positive. Maybe some days I'm not walking, my thighs are killing me because we've done like 200 squats, but it doesn't come from a place. For me, I needed it to come from, not to come from a place of like, get your butt right. You know what I mean? I needed it to come from a different place to pursue it. I did that already. You know what I mean? That was another tool at a different time. So yeah.
I received so many reviews about self-healing, and currently in Austin, I make offline classes in park. And one girl who had very big problems with women's hormones, she couldn't get pregnant. She finally got pregnant after 2 months of practicing with me. And it's a miracle, for me. It's like only the confirmation that this technology works only for it. When someone starts this routine, then no way he will change, he will grow automatically, even if he won't be analyzing himself. Maybe path will be a little bit longer, but as a result, he will receive very healthy psyche, very balanced nervous system. He will receive insights as if out of nowhere, and a lot of creative ideas. Every time after practicing, I want to create. I don't want to overeat, for example. Many drugs will go away. Toxic relationships will finish, and like the feeling of self-worth appears, and so on. So many benefits, like it's a magic wand for many things. And to get into discipline, to really love this technique, is to engage in my 40 days marathon, because I love it so much. And recently, some new members joined this program. And I do love to guide person, because I see his roles, I see his masks. I can gently make him look inside himself and to be honest, because these rigid masks are so tight that we deny in them no matter what. Like our ego, they call it ego, denies. Like, no, it's not about me, not about me. Like, I feel I'm envying someone who has some quality which is in me, but I squeeze it, and I hate this person because he expresses. But all we have to remember about is that everyone until awakening is mirroring and showing us to come back us to ourselves and to look inside, not outside. This is what,
and that's something I really looked at, because, I don't know, like that expression, like, more money, more problems. So, the more successful people get, the more hard, there's also the same in the spiritual realm, in the spiritual communities, there is a lot of, have you been to Peru? Have you done ayahuasca? Have you done this? There is a lot of like markers that are also masks, in my opinion. But I do think that it's even in these states, we can, even with these options to have different things, it always will be what what you feel. I mean, a lot of people can do things and not really participate, but you'll find things that will actually take you to where you need to be. And like you said, the pace is really up to the discipline, the interest. I think that it is totally, I am aware that people don't practice Kundalini in the exact same way that I do, because the way that I like knowledge, what I do with knowledge is specific to me, and it is a part of my spiritual ritual. It's a part of my prayer. It's a part of my movement. So I honor it that way. And everybody does it differently. I believe that somebody could practice, do Kundalini with with less depth and still actually benefit, like you said. It doesn't need to be deep soul transformation if you're not ready for that, if you're not interested.
For me, it wasn't. Initially, for me, it was like some workout, like, okay, breathe in. It was like the escape from the hell where I was in very hard depression. Of course, what I felt is relief. This was the first state, and then higher and higher and more full states.
I think for me, it was a shock in the performance of the, in just the movements, because there's a time that I would I would cheat and skim through videos, and, I'd skim through a Kriya, and I would notice that we're just holding our right hand like this for 12 minutes. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do that. Like, I want to work out. I want to sweat. I want to do whatever. And that was me in the beginning. And then I would do one of those and I would be like, whoa, who knew? And that to me was very shocking, that you can do high performance, high adrenaline movements and not really be doing, and the angles and the meridians and how important that is. That was to me that was my first sort of whoa, because I remember sort of sharing, some practices with people and them kind of being like, what is this? You're doing breath of fire. You might have your tongue sticking out. Sometimes it's not the sexiest, but it's not a fashion trend. Do you know what I mean? It's a deep ancient practice.
No, it will be fashion trend soon.
Well, and that as well, like everything, and sometimes I feel like that I'm not respecting the culture because it isn't mine, but I resonate with it and I feel the peace from it. And, I want a world where I can go into a mosque, or I can go into a Kundalini practice, or I can pray, with all my friends of different cultures and races. And, I think that there's a big, there was a feeling a little bit sometimes it's like, whoa, I'm actually stepping into another culture here, another practice, another spiritual frequency. And I just use my own discernment there and, ask myself, do I feel good or not? Am I doing good or not? What are people like, and, people noticed, the radiance and magnetism from that you do when you're looking after your spiritual health, truly, not just buying stuff that looks spiritual not just dressing spiritual, you know what I mean? But you know what
Yeah.
I mean, like it exists, you know what I mean? Like if I'm spiritual, I gotta do this, and I can't have the designer bag. You can have whatever you want. Just do what you want.
Yeah,
um
yeah, I'm very happy to hear that the same experience, but in other body, in other person. And I do love this idea that we can share with each other. I don't want to be a guru. I want to be a guider. I want to help myself on the way and helping others. And I'm not feeling embarrassed to speak honestly about my disadvantages or my masks and my new insights, because some person can also take my experience without this very long and very hard path of his own insights. I think everything in the world works like this. We find someone who transmits some kind of idea, we are getting engaged, and here our spiritual path begins. And also, what I'm on now is researchment of ways how to minimize the stress from reality. And even if I'm calm inside, I have this peaceful background, but still how to save yourself to live more happily and more longer. So longevity, immortality is the main topics I'm researching now. But of course, I understand that this is not the path for everyone. Not everyone
mhm.
needs it, as well as breatharianism, as well as not sleeping. So if your
Yeah,
heart responds to it, I also, like you said, you are sharing if everyone wants you to share. You use your tools. You will share how to work with people a little bit later. And
mhm.
me as well. I was saving a lot of people around me for a long time. It's like codependency, like open your eyes, wake up. I'm
Mhm.
done with this. I'm not trying to save anyone because I see it's useless. But for money, one person, this is very important, because when we given something for free, it's very hard, very easy to devalue this. Person
Oh
will
yeah.
never work on himself, never hear if he hasn't given something to
Yeah.
back. But when we pay for service, we are ready to work. And
Yeah.
this idea brought me so deep relief, because I had this like complex that I not deserve money, and some monetary programs which were sitting inside me.
Yeah.
I see that I share my knowledge and I guide a person for money, and this is cool exchange. And I'm not saving anymore my friends, my relatives. No, I allow them to be them and
Yeah.
me myself. And how do you usually work with people? Share with us.
Well, yeah, I think everybody at some journey has been on one end of the excessive overgiving, and when you sometimes look at those individual relationships, you can find a lot of pain and, maybe even disrespect, whatever. But the truth is, you had to experience that we have to experience that to know what it's like to be depleted, because it's by choice that and I would find myself in those spaces where not even so much convincing people, but just in whatever way worked at that time based on the tool that I was working on at the time. I would give it fully and wholly to those who I cared for, and also those who I felt, you know, needed it. So, it could be random. I always laugh at this whole, like, girl in the club bathroom. Like, I was that girl, but helping on deep problems. Do you know what I mean? And feeling it deeply in my heart. And I think in all the work that I do, whether it's in the healing space or in the matrix or whatever, exchange must be fair. It must be fair so that I put in the right time and accuracy that's needed to be a vessel for whatever it is I'm supposed to deliver. And fair because you need to value that and you need to make an offering for that. And I think that at anybody's path in life, we're always readjusting that. It's like when people ask for more salary or, change jobs, it's the same. It's the same concept of, do you feel you're in the place where you can exist in your ultimate power? Are you being valued? Do because it takes a lot to sustain a skill. It takes a lot of resources. It takes a lot of discipline. And in fact, your channel specifically took me to this place where I realized that we, as people, we have to really look at what we do with content creators. It's not just, we have this vast channel of information that just goes bulletproof right through us. And until you've ever created anything, you don't really even know how much has gone into it. And I'm not saying pay everybody that you watch a YouTube video of, you know what I mean? But if somebody is part of your practice, they deserve the honor, and it's only right. I personally believe in, I like my circles to be round. So I want to make sure that if I give, I receive. If I receive, I give. It's just how I operate. And, you can find that in faith. You can find that in kindness and compassion, teachings. It's just, I feel that I think when it comes to certain things, we've become very spoiled. And we just believe that we're supposed to get all this free information, and that's fine if for everybody's journey. But I think that I had to learn my boundaries. I had to learn where and what to give, and I also have to learn that this is a journey. It's been a journey for me that I didn't stumble on overnight. So everybody has that too, and everybody has that space. And I find the more that you surrender to being a savior for people, because that's a complex too, that's ego. I want you to love me because I can save you, I can heal you, I can change you. Guess what you're doing? While you're doing that, you're not doing anything to yourself. And, that course, the one you have, the Depression to Prosperity, I didn't really want to do it at first because I don't resonate with depression in my life. I have experienced low moments, but not that state. And I was like, oh, I'm not depressed. You know what I mean? And I was like, because, there's these words and we have these meanings and attachments. And, when I was doing it and afterwards, the clarity of my mind, the peacefulness I felt, my emotional processing, I started thinking like, well, damn, maybe I was like, and we can have these passive states within us without realizing it, because we can get into autopilot and wake up in the morning, check your Instagram, go to work, come back, check your Instagram. It's like you are in this pattern, and sometimes you don't actually realize what you need, what you have, what's going
Definitely.
on.
I understood
So
that I wasn't depressed all my life
exactly. Yeah. Wow.
to this degree or that degree.
Mm,
So yeah, thank you very much,
yeah.
Melinda, for helping me to support
Okay.
my channel all these years. And yeah, I wish everyone, maybe this dialogue will bring someone clarity where he needs to go. Just keep on working on yourself, no matter where you live in, what are you doing. You should be self-analyzing
Yeah.
yourself and build this new point of observation of your thoughts,
Yes.
like detach yourself from what you used to react, how you used to react, and so on. This is very
Yeah.
easy. Everyone
Yeah.
can do this, I
Yeah.
guess.
And
And
this spiritual pilgrimage or whatever, I mean, it's not like this perfection where you're just in resting Buddha all day. You feel all the myriad of emotions, but gosh, like I hold anger so differently. I hold sadness so differently. I hold joy so differently, actually. I hold it more than ever before because it's here now. You know what I mean? It's not around and like only just things, or you really feel it deeply, so you really hold that
yeah,
joy
not
deep.
because someone made you happy.
Yeah.
in the
No.
moment. We're not dependent on good weather, bad weather, good circumstances, but
Yeah.
we are autonomous. We are
Yeah.
adults.
Yeah.
If to be
Exactly.
honest, this is the
Yeah.
autonomous
Yeah.
psyche, which brings you freedom to express yourself, no fears, no
Yeah.
fears which you need to struggle squeezing yourself and not allowing yourself to live the
Yeah.
life of your
Yeah.
dream. This
Yes.
is main idea. Yes, thank you very much. I guess
Thank
this is not so
you.
long conversation, but we were waiting for it for so long. Thank
Yes.
you for
And maybe I'll be
participating.
back. It's a very surreal moment to be in this space, considering the start of my journey and just kind of like, you know, when I think about the time, it's been fairly fast to have such transformations, fairly fast to
Very
have such
sad.
transformations, and I felt them immediately. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to actually see this on your page because circles. We talk about the circles, and your teachers can become your companions in your process and your journey, and like you said, like I respect the work that you've done, and I really want other people to enjoy it and allow it, for it to be part of even if it's a small part of their transformation journey.
Yeah, I want everyone to try it. But of course, it's only the matter of choice, always.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Melinda. Wish you a nice
Thank you, Lisa.
evening. It's 11 a.m. in Austin. My day is only started, and yours is going to 9.
8 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
in Uganda.
I was very happy to talk to you.
Very happy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Satnam.
Bye.
Bye.